United stand. It's hot, hot, hot tonight, and I wish the transfer news was hot, but it's not. There is a lot to talk about, though. Look, I'll tell you what, one story's got me particularly angry, I've got to say. I'm very, very unhappy about this story about Bruno Fernandes and Manchester United not being in for him. Not because I believe that story. I know for a fact Manchester United are in for him. I'm just fearful that this is a press briefing because they don't want to pay the money for him. So they're going to retract and say, we were never in for him anyway, which is absolutely a load of nonsense. And I will lose my shit if we do not sign Bruno Fernandes and pretend that we're not interested in him. But we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think the most compelling story that's been going on around Manchester United over the last 24 hours, and maybe some of you have noticed it and maybe you haven't, because it's not just one story. There are a lot of people talking about Milinkovic-Savic to Manchester United. And look, you can say AS in Spain aren't particularly reliable, but there's a number of Italian outlets now talking about it, saying that Manchester United, and the figure quoted is quite interesting as well. It's around, I think it's £70 million with 5 million in add-ons, something like that. So it's very, very specific information. Milinkovic-Savic apparently has told his teammates that he's leaving as well. I've got to be honest, on this one, I never really expected Manchester United to go for Milinkovic-Savic. And, I mean, what do you want? What do you want? She's got a huge ass. Rubbish Al Pacino there. But what do you want? Do you want Milinkovic-Savic because that means Pogba goes? Or do you want Pogba to stay? Instantly, my inclination is to say, I want Pogba to stay. But then, do I want a player to stay that doesn't want to be here, that may leave in a year? Is it not better to let Pogba go now, take the money, and bring a player in that wants to be here at 24 and could be here for 3 or 4 years, and we do have a proper rebuild? It's a very interesting situation. Ari Guadalia says, Mark, I've got a feeling Savic is instead of Bruno. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. There's absolutely no way that's what's happening. That Milinkovic-Savic is for Pogba. That's what that's about. Because Milinkovic-Savic has similar qualities to Paul Pogba. But I tell you what, it's just the weight of news stories around this. Either every outlet in Italy has had a word amongst themselves and said, push Manchester United and Milinkovic-Savic, even though it's a load of crap, so that PSG come in and buy him. But why would... I mean, look, this is another thing. To be honest, there's a few things catching my claw tonight. Jack Bishop says, how many 8 o'clock shows until we sign somebody? I'm going to say 6. Let's see if I was right. We've got a new member to the club, which is Vishnu Rahan. Thank you and welcome to the club, Vishnu. But PSG have just signed, or are just about to sign, Idrissa Gueye. He, in Europe, had the most tackles with Ndidi in Europe, not just the Premier League. They've also bought Herrera, our most tenacious box-to-box midfielder that we have. So PSG have gone and bought the best tackler in Europe and one of the most tenacious midfielders in Europe in Ander Herrera. 2 midfielders there. We don't have a midfielder like that. We're watching PSG buy Idrissa Gueye and Ander Herrera, and we're going into a new season with Nemanja Matic, the snail who can't create. And I mean, I just don't get what Manchester United are doing with their midfield. I don't get what we're trying to do with our midfield. And I don't know. I mean, I listened to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What a great bloke he is. You know, I can't really blame him. But I do have concerns about what is happening with this transfer window. And I you know I'm very positive about it. And you know I think we're going to do business. But I am starting to get a little bit concerned. It's 2 weeks tomorrow. We've had a whole of the... Remember what we said last week? There's 3 weeks to go. We've got to get some business done in the next week. We've done no business in the next week. We're down to 2 weeks to go. And we've still done no more business than when we did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Look, I've always said the tour, we don't seem to do business on tour. But I am starting to get massively concerned because the midfield is not an area you can neglect. And I just feel that if we get Milinkovic-Savic, Pogba's going to go. And I was already going into this season thinking, if we don't sign a midfielder, Pogba is the only one we've got. Because Matic is on the decline. Pereira, McTominay and Fred, we all want them to succeed, but can we definitely guarantee they will? It's not a good midfield. You take Pogba out and replace Milinkovic-Savic, it becomes a hospital midfield. That could be a car crash. It really could. Because what if Milinkovic-Savic takes a year to adapt to the league? It's an interesting one with Milinkovic-Savic. Even a dejected Pogba is better player than Milinkovic-Savic, says Massey at 99. And that's a very important thing. If United did decide to swap Milinkovic-Savic for Paul Pogba and let Paul Pogba go, then you're looking at the scenario as to what's to say Milinkovic-Savic, he might not settle in quick. He might take a while to settle in. So it is interesting. It's very interesting the amount of outlets in Italy that are talking about Milinkovic-Savic to United. If we do get him, he's a good player. He can certainly improve us. He's got goals in him. He's got assists in him. He had a bit of a quiet season last season, of course. I'm not going to lie about that. He did. But he's only 24. He's got a lot left in him. He's a physical player as well. He's got, he's not a Serbian Fellaini. Nowhere near. He's just not that sort of player. He's got good aspects to his game. I personally don't think United will sign him. I personally think that United will keep Pogba and we won't sign Milinkovic-Savic. But it's interesting because you've got to honestly say, why are we so confident Pogba's going to stay? He said he wants to go. He's gone on the tour. He can still sign for Real Madrid next month. Let's see what happens with it. But Milinkovic-Savic could be a very, very, very interesting deal. And we'll have to wait and see how it develops. The next story I want to talk about 100% is this Bruno Fernandes story. So this came out from the Mirror, but I also saw people were saying it's from the Mirror, but I've seen an article in the Manchester Evening News from Samuel Lockhurst saying exactly the same thing. And that is that Manchester United are not in for Nicola Pepe or Bruno Fernandes, and that they're getting frustrated with the Portuguese media and other outlets linking them to that player, and that they feel that they are trying to use Manchester United's name to generate interest from other clubs. Bullshit. Absolute nonsense. In relation, with Pepe it might be true, but with Bruno Fernandes it isn't true. It's just not true. Manchester United scouted Bruno Fernandes all last season. Manchester United want Bruno Fernandes. Even in the article that Samuel Luckhurst wrote saying that we're not in for him and this, that and the other, there is a line there that says, even in that article it says Manchester United admire Bruno Fernandes. So best case scenario, this is just a nonsense story to fill a day. Worst case scenario, United are retracting from the deal. And I always said this could happen. I'm 90% sure we'll sign Bruno Fernandes because I know we want him. But I always said that final 10% is this club we've seen over the last 6 years. This club that will take a deal to the brink and then back off because they don't want to spend the money. And if you know what I could see happening in a worst case scenario? Longstaff because he's half the price of Bruno Fernandes. Even though we need 2 midfielders, we will just go for Longstaff and we won't go for Bruno Fernandes. And apparently Bruno Fernandes will go for £62 million, which he is worth every day of the year. And if we walk away from it, I don't know what's going on at our football club, because we are crying out for a midfielder with some creativity, with goals in them, with some assists in them. And he's available and he wants to come and play in England. He ticks every single box. And Ollie likes him. And the board don't provide him. But this, would we be surprised? Would we be surprised if that happened? No. I'm still logically thinking that we're going to sign him, because I think if this club has any ambition, you go and make that signing. You go and deliver the player that the manager wants that will improve our football club. You don't go, we're not getting him, Ollie, because he's a little bit too expensive. But logically, you know what? I'm starting to worry because I think 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, 15 million on Daniel James, 80 million on Harry Maguire. That totals close to 150 million. You buy Bruno Fernandes, you're over 200 million. Maybe United only want to spend 150 million. Maybe they don't want to go above 200. I think we will sign him, but I'll be honest with you. If they mess this deal up, and I say it with total confidence, United can say what they bloody well like. They can leak what they like. We weren't interested in him. Absolute crap. Crap. Absolute nonsense. Even Simon Peach, who's a tier 1 credible journalist, when he was interviewed by Flex in China, was it in Perth? What did he say? 5 out of 10. Manchester United, 50% chance of it happening. Manchester United really like Bruno Fernandes, but will they do the deal? So don't pretend that you're not interested in him. And I was told by somebody else back in March, as we know. Charlie Bass says, really happy about the De Gea contract news, but worried about where this leaves Henderson. What do you think? Congratulations on 500,000 subscribers. Henderson will go on loan to Sheffield United. Simple as that. Yeah, that's where he will go. Do we have the ambition? I doubt it, says Gail Adam. The trouble is with Manchester United, I think the board might look at it and go, we can spend not very much and still get fourth and be back in the Champions League. It's like Arsenal of the last 10 years, isn't it? Somebody said this to me the other day. United need, and they weren't a United fan, they said United need to be very careful because an outsider looking in, you look like a club that's going to do Arsenal for the last 10 years under Wenger. You've got a manager that the fans ultimately respect and love, but you've got owners who just want fourth every year. They just want profits. They don't want to spend money. They just want to be Champions League. So you put a manager in place who's, the people's person, very, very popular, and then you just don't really put a lot of investment in. And he said you could be the next Arsenal for the next 10 years because all that club wants to do is finish fourth, whereas you've got fans and everybody who wants to do better. But as long as Ollie keeps coming out and saying this is where we want to be, this is where we want to be, everybody loves Ollie. So it's going to be interesting how it develops. I personally do think United will spend money, but I do get worried when I read stories in the press, no matter where they are, because I know United will leak stories to the Mirror. They will leak stories to the Sun. They will leak stories to the Times. It's not always the credible ones who get the stories. Anoop Anyapan says the same report suggests Savic is serious, but it's Fernandes or Savic. I don't fancy it. Should be Fernandes all the way. Another report suggests Sancho offered to Manchester United for 3 years, and then Real will take Sancho. I mean, those sort of stories are a load of shit, aren't they? To be honest with you, Sean Longstaff. If you're asking me whether I want Longstaff or Bruno Fernandes, it's Bruno Fernandes every day of the week and Sunday because Longstaff's paid 9 games for Newcastle. I think there is a level of embarrassment if you spend £30 million on a player who's played 9 games. However, I am intrigued by United's obsession with Longstaff, and you've got to trust the scouting to a certain extent. I know. Somebody did ask me this question today. Look, can I just say, with regards to Harry Maguire, I've had people sending me pictures of James Maddison having his haircut and said I was there, and he said he's 95% sure that Harry Maguire is going to come to United. I saw Harry Maguire's reaction to his goal for Leicester last night against Cheltenham. You can just tell by the body language he wants to go, and Manchester United will get that deal over the line. What you've got to remember is, and I've said it before, how long did it take for us to get the Wan-Bissaka deal? And through that, people were like, I don't believe it. I don't really even think we're in for him. And lo and behold, 3 or 4 weeks later, we'd signed him. I think the same thing's going to happen with Harry Maguire. I don't know when it'll happen. It could happen on Monday because will we be in the UK on Monday before flying out to Norway? I don't know. But Harry Maguire, I'm pretty confident that's going to happen, to be honest with you. Yeah, pretty confident. If it's a choice between Bruno Fernandes and Savic, it's Bruno Fernandes every day of the week for me. But I don't believe that it is that. What you've got to remember is that not every story about Bruno Fernandes has come from Portuguese media. It hasn't. There has been a lot of Portuguese media talking about it, but there's also been people like The Independent, The Times, Sky Sports. A lot of people have been talking about Bruno Fernandes, and they're not driven by the Portuguese press. But Sporting Lisbon manager today said that there's a high chance that Bruno Fernandes is going to go because they can't keep him. David Guetta says, I'm sorry, but in what universe is Lukaku worth 75 million? Why can't we just take Inter's offer? Perisic is quality. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I think Lukaku definitely will go. I was asked a question today that with regards to if Manchester United didn't make any more signings, where do you think we would finish? Which I thought was an interesting question on 2 levels. 1, because we will make sure we will make some more signings. But 2, if we don't make any more signings, I think we'll finish 6th, as we are now. Because I don't see a massive improvement in that squad from last season. In fact, I think we're weaker than last season. Lukaku is on the periphery, and I don't want Lukaku here, but, he did get a few goals for us last season. Herrera was a very important player for us last year. He's gone. Have McTominay, Fred and Pereira stepped up to the level of Herrera? No. They might do. They might not. We've definitely improved at right back, but I still think teams will just swamp Pogba. And I still think you've got a CDM who is slow. And I still think that the front 3 are a bit inconsistent. So I I don't think if we don't make any signings, I can't see us finishing better than 6th. I really don't. And if we just sign Harry Maguire, I still think we'll have a battle to finish in the top 4 because you got to score goals, and I don't see many goals in that team at the moment. I don't. I think it needs 2 quality midfielders for sure. Yeah, we've read that one. Somebody just said 10th. I wouldn't agree with that. Not even in the Europa League, says Leslie Lai. And Sky Cava said Bruno is not the top priority, says Brian Anichi. I don't know when he said that, but you know what? With regards to Bruno Fernandes, I'm just very, very... It is a transfer that really does wind me up a lot because it's been going on all summer. I know United want him, and I just do not trust this board. I do not trust this board at all because I know that they chuck their gran in a river to save a fiver. Like they would. And that's what it is. We've walked away from deals in the past. I'm not even going to name the deals that we've walked away from in the past because I've been doing it all summer. And if we walk away from this deal because we want to do something cheaper, and I tell you what, if we just sign Longstaff, I will be disgusted. Because that is just about saving money. That is about buying somebody who potentially could be good for 30 million instead of going out and addressing a problem for 60 million. That's what Longstaff's all about. And I'm not going to be kidded by, oh, he's got great potential. Screw your potential. What are we trying to do as a football club? You know, we can't be a team of potential. Potential's great, but you can't be a team potential. You've got to have some top talent in there as well to nurture the potential. And that midfield, to me, if we buy Longstaff, it's just a midfield of potential. McTominay, Pereira, Fred, Longstaff. It's just a team. It's a midfield of potential. Where's the quality? Where's the proven quality over a 50-game season? Because potential's not going to be consistent over a 50-game season. Pogba might not be here, he might be here, but can he do it all on his own? Matic is on the decline. So we go into next season with potential. McTominay, Fred, Pereira, Longstaff. We're screwed. Because potential won't deliver over 50 games. Because potential doesn't deliver over 50 games. Potential is potential. It delivers over 20 games and over 30 games, it's not so good. Because that's what potential is. Quality delivers over 50 games. You look at a midfield like Man City, it's quality. David Silva, De Bruyne, Fernandinho. Look at Liverpool, Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum. It's quality. There's not much potential in there. 1 or 2 potential, great. But not 80% of your midfield being potential. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. And that's what this summer needed to be for United in the midfield. Have no doubts about it. This is not me saying this. This is in every bloody book you want to read about football. The midfield is where games are won and lost. United's midfield is weak. We lost a quality midfielder in Ander Herrera who sweat for this club, but also was a very good midfielder who made a big difference on the pitch. He's gone. What are you replacing him with? Potential. Longstaff. Pereira, McTominay, who were already here. Fred was already here. Who are you replacing Ander Herrera with? A quality, experienced midfielder. Potential. Forget about it. Bollocks. That's not part of the journey. That's not part of the story. You've got the opportunity to go and get quality in that midfield. And you're going to refuse it to get somebody cheaper who's potential. We've got to get some quality in that midfield. Charlie Bayer, we've read that, Charlie. Thank you. Somebody just laughed about Jordan Henderson. Illa United. I spent a long time laughing about Jordan Henderson. I don't laugh anymore. If he came into our midfield, he'd improve it massively. He's miles ahead of Matic. He's miles ahead of every midfielder we've got except for Pogba. I'm sorry. I think Herrera was better than Henderson, but Jordan Henderson is better than every midfielder we've got apart from Paul Pogba. And some Liverpool fans would try and argue that he's better than Pogba. He's not. But Jordan Henderson, in fairness to him, he puts in 7 or 8 out of 10 performances 90% of the season. Is he blessed with brilliant skill? No. But he puts in 7 or 8 out of 10 performances for 90% of the season. Those sort of players are invaluable. We haven't got that in our midfield. I'd take Jordan Henderson at United tomorrow if he didn't play for Liverpool. I'd rather play myself than play a Liverpool player. But he is... You know, you can laugh about it all you like, but he's way better than anything we've got. Anna Palupan says, do you think we will get 1 signing before Sunday, or else do you think we can make 2 before the deadline because of the time we take with each deals? Anna, I tweeted it out today. I'm going to say we will sign Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, and we will sell Lukaku. They're the three I'm sticking with because I've always been confident of those. I've got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit concerned about this story today. Hopefully it's a load of bollocks, but it just feels to me like United have fed the media about Bruno Fernandes saying we're not in for him. And that, to me, terrifies me because I think, well, you know what? I know we are in for him, or we were in for him, and suddenly we're not in for him with 2 weeks to go. And yet, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's all been about the fee that we want to pay. We don't want to pay the fee, do we? If we don't sign Fernandes, it's because our board can't get him for the cheap price that we want to get him for. That's what it'll all be about. Who do you think we should replace for Lukaku and Sanchez, says Tor Kawagawa. Well, Sanchez is going nowhere, so that's a problem next season. He's going to be here. We can't get rid of him. Alexis Sanchez is just like a boil on your arse that won't go away. You cannot get rid of it. It's painful, and it stops you doing what you want to do. You know, but he will still be here, and Lukaku hopefully will go. But you know what? For the people who want to be negative, of course, where we sit tonight, of course there's a scenario where Lukaku stays and we don't sign anybody else. Of course there is. Anything can happen, but I don't think that will happen. I think Lukaku will definitely go, and I think we will definitely get Harry Maguire, and I hope Bruno Fernandes as well. Tarali JT says that Herrera was crap. Boring comment. I'm not even gonna entertain it. It's just an idiotic comment. I'm sorry. Why not a Cardi for Lukaku? Straight swap, says Dabashi. I would do that. United don't want to do that. Barry Haynes says we do need centre midfielders. I would love Savic and Bruno if Pogba goes. I do feel that McTominay can succeed for Matic. If Mourinho saw something in him, who has had elite CDMs like Makelele, Essien, I think that's encouraging. Yeah, but you know what? I think there's a misconception about McTominay. I think people think he's a CDM. He's not. He's not. He said it himself this week. He wants to be a box-to-box player. And he can score a goal. I don't think McTominay's a CDM. I don't think he's got that in him. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think McTominay's even a CDM. I think he's a box-to-box midfielder. So Zachary Purvis says Henderson is Liverpool's Carrick. Doesn't have amazing ball skills, nor is the most athletic. He's just so consistent. That's what we have missed. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. If we don't sign Harry Maguire, I will play at centre-back for free, says Peter Booth. And Man City, Fernandinho, De Bruyne, Silva, and Rodri. We've got Matic, Pogba, and the rest. Yeah, there's a massive, massive difference. Of course there is. Bruno Fernandes is playing tonight not for Liverpool yet. He's playing for Sporting Lisbon. I mean, what I would say is this. Imagine if Bruno Fernandes goes to Spurs or he goes to Liverpool. Forget about it. Like, literally, seriously, forget about it. You know, like Liverpool, Spurs have just brought in Dembele and already have got a good midfield. And then if Liverpool get Bruno Fernandes as well, on top of what they've got, I mean, you know, you may as well just forget being anywhere near a league title for another 5 years. I don't see what United are trying to do to try and win a title, to be honest with you. The Real Hughes says, Maguire, Savic, Fernandes, boom. I'm a happy man. However, this will never happen. And Adam Salas says, Ollie will be the next Fergie. Firmly believed third. Whatever that means. And Peter Hoon says, if you could only pick one transfer, would you opt for Maguire or Fernandes? Who would impact our team more? I think I'd have to go for Bruno Fernandes because I think the midfield is the engine room. It's where games are won and lost and it's weak. Anoop Aliapan says, saw your show on Maguire. If we're ready to splash 75 or 80 million for him, why not go all out for Koulibaly? It's just 10 million more and he's a true beast and leader. Because for whatever reason, Manchester United are prioritising Harry Maguire, aren't they? So that's why they're going to go for that deal. Ollie said it in his press conference today. If you didn't see the press conference reaction from me earlier, he did say that we're not going to lose sight of what we want to do just because there's a few hurdles. We're not going to move on to another option. So I think that's there to say that we are in for Harry Maguire, and that's what we're looking to do. I'm very surprised that Van der Beek hasn't moved Rogvi from Ajax. I'm very surprised in general as to what's happened with some of our transfers so far this summer. Not just for Manchester United, the Premier League in general. Ziyech at Ajax as well. Where's he going to go? So yeah. If Fernandes goes to Tottenham or Liverpool, we're messed up, says that guy Vic. But you know what'll happen? You know what'll happen? If, and I'm only giving you a scenario here, if Bruno Fernandes doesn't come to Manchester United and he goes to Liverpool or Spurs, it will be purposely fed into the media that we were never in for him anyway. Like that's a good thing. I mean, I thought that today. Let's pretend United aren't in for Bruno Fernandes, okay? I know it's a nonsense, but there you go. Let's pretend he's not in for Manchester United aren't in for him. That highlights how bad we are at recruitment straight away. Manchester United need 2 midfielders. They need a midfielder who can take the load off Pogba and be creative and score goals. You've got Bruno Fernandes at Sporting Lisbon, who has scored loads of goals and got loads of assists, and he's only 24. He fits perfectly what we need, but then Man United come out and go, we weren't even in for him. Well, what am I supposed to do? Bloody sing Ring the Roses naked? Whoa, that's brilliant. I'm so pleased he's gone to another club because we weren't in for him. You bloody idiots. So however this plays out, United look like idiots unless they actually go out and sign the player that we need to sign. Because if we come out and don't get him and then we go, we weren't in for him anyway, I'm past all that. I'm past all that going, we weren't in for him anyway, Liverpool, because we're 6th. We're in the Europa League. And that's the sort of player we should be in for. So if we come out and say we're not in for him, to me, that just says how idiotically crap we are at recruitment. Because any idiot can see he's perfect for us. And if people want to say, oh, no, you don't know what you're on about. I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. How many players over the years have we spoken about on this show collectively and said they'd be good for us? The one that stands out the most, 2 years before he went to Liverpool, we were talking about Fabinho on this channel. 2 summers in a row. 1 summer, we need Fabinho. 2 summers, we need Fabinho. 3rd summer, he goes to Liverpool. We were never in for him. We were never in for him, though. Oh, we were never in for him because we went for Static Matic. Well done. I'm proud. I can take that knowledge onto Twitter and really banter Liverpool fans. Don't worry, Liverpool fans, that you signed Fabinho and we should have. Because we weren't in for him anyway. We got Matic. The joke's on you. Leg it, because the joke's on us. So, I can't be doing with this. We're not in for him. We're not in for Pepe. We're not in for Pepe. We don't want Pepe. We're not in for Bruno Fernandes. We don't want him. Well, you should be bloody in for him. You should be in for them because they'd massively improve our club. And the reality is, you're spending so much time feeding the media pretending you're not in for a player. Actually, maybe look at why you're being linked to that player because it might be the best bit of scouting you've ever been given for free. And Fabinho is definitely the best. If we'd got Fabinho, we wouldn't have the problems we've got. I know he took a little bit of time to bed in at Liverpool, but we were talking about him on this channel for 2 years before Liverpool bought him. He'd be brilliant for us as a CDM. He's quick, he moves the ball quickly, he can make a tackle. It irritates me so much because I don't like Liverpool. But when they bought Fabinho, I was like, they've got a bloody good player there. They've got a good player there, and he is a very good player, and he would have been brilliant for us. Brilliant for us. So I'm not buying all this crap. Oh, we're not in for him. How am I supposed to be proud about that? Oh, don't worry, we're not in for Pepe. He's gone to Liverpool. We won't. Joke's on you, Liverpool. We didn't want Pepe. Ha 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 ha. And then Pepe goes and scores 30 goals for Liverpool and is fantastic. But it don't matter because we weren't in for him. We weren't in for him. We were putting the money in the Glazers' pocket. Jeremy Keller says Lukaku plus Matic to Inter for Skriniar. Younger, more athletic than Maguire. Milinkovic-Savic and Dybala funded by Pogba. Bruno funded by Rojo. Darmian and Phil or Smalling for what they can get. Banker board keeps the dollars. Jeremy, I'd employ you as director of football, but you're trying too hard to be progressive and make us be successful there. You're not thinking about the bottom dollar. I thought Fernandes was a defo mark, says Dean White. So, I still do. But I know that United can mess deals up. I've said it all summer. Rio Mia says we have to improve the midfield even if Pogba stays. Imagine if he gets injured. Last season, that would have been a third of our goals and assists. Petulant. I agree. And Anno Yalyapan says, we are not even seeing a small news about any outgoings. Seriously, our board messed up wages that no one can even take mediocre players. China, please help us. And David Gatter says, is it fair to at least judge Ollie on the players he hasn't got rid of? Poch was ruthless with Trippier. David, I do not believe you can judge Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on the transfers coming in and going out of this football club because he's inherited a pile of manure that nobody wants to buy, and also he's given his lists to the board and they've not provided it. That's the stone-cold truth. Ollie will just sit there and say I don't hold any grudges because it's his dream job and that's what he's got to do. He's got to get on with what he's got. But ultimately, he's not been given the players he wanted. And how is it Ollie's fault for getting rid of the deadwood? People like Darmian and Rojo are crap. Like, we know they're crap and we're Manchester United fans. Like, do you not think that the scouting network of Europe knows that those two players are crap? And then, like, you've got United saying, we'll give you Darmian for 15 million and he's on 100 grand a week or whatever he's on. I think Rojo's on about 80 grand a week. Like, who's going to bankrupt their club to buy a player like that? That's why United are in trouble, because if you look at it, over the years, we struggle to get rid of players because they're on stupid money in the first place. So, no, I don't blame Ollie for that. Ned Muckerman says, I'm seriously scared the club are looking at Neymar. Barca can only offer swaps and Real seem like they are waiting for Mbappe. What formation do you see us using? Ollie's been using 4-2-3-1 pre-season. I think we'll do 4-2-3-1 or we'll do 4-3-3. That's what I think we'll do. Lozano is still available, Abiomi Bello. I don't think we're in for Pepe, by the way. I've got to say, I don't think we're in for Pepe. I think that he will go to Liverpool. I don't think Manchester United are even looking at a right back, to be honest with you. Mohamed Adil says, we're not in for Bruno Fernandes. Check the news. We've chosen Milinkovic-Savic. I don't know where you're getting that news from, but I'm not. So you want me to believe some news story that you're not even quoting to me where it's from. We've not been in for Milinkovic-Savic all summer. Over the last 2 weeks, we're suddenly in for Milinkovic-Savic. And that's the real target, despite scouting Bruno Fernandes every game last season and being after him all summer. We've now decided we're in for Milinkovic-Savic and we're not in Fernandes. No, I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying that. That is not the story. Milinkovic-Savic is coming in and Pogba will go if that happens. Bruno Fernandes was meant to be coming in regardless, and if he doesn't come in, it's because United have done their usual trick of not wanting to pay the price that's a fair price. We did it with Perisic 2 years ago. But I'm going to wait till and see how that rolls out, because I'll be bloody furious if we don't get him. Not because I'm obsessed with him, but because he's just the perfect player that we need. And to not go and get that sort of player would massively hurt me, because I just think there's a midfielder there who's quick, tenacious, got some flair, gets loads of assists as well as loads of goals, very good set piece taker, can shoot from distance. He's exactly what United need, and we're going to refuse that. Idiots if we do. Dazzo W, what gets me with Fabinho's situation as well as he went for 32 million. Don't sign Bruno. We have to question our scouting system as well as our board. Yeah. Mark, how can all these small clubs spend millions and the mighty Manchester United spend 65 million and flop with the rest, says Ashley Hunter? Because of who we're owned by. Simple as that. You know, if you want to know, Manchester United over the last 3 transfer windows, we spent nothing in January. Last summer we only spent about 50 million net. This summer we've only spent 65 million. So in 3 transfer windows we've spent under 120 million. It's crap. Absolutely crap. And in those 3 transfer windows, we've been outside the top 4. So it's the reason United don't spend money is because of who the owners are. They don't want to spend money because they want to put money in their own pocket. That's no breaking news, is it? We all know that. We've read that one. Joseph Spitzer says, Eddie's trying to squeeze other clubs into paying a reduced price but was willing to let Herrera go for free because of his mismanagement. He's a joke. Yeah, Joseph, I mean, I'm glad you've reminded us all about that. We obviously have got this situation with Ander Herrera where at 29 years of age, Idris Gueye is going from Everton to PSG for 30 million. Idris Gueye's older than Ander Herrera by a month. And Ander Herrera has got a better CV. He's played for Manchester United in the Champions League, etc. So even if you wanted to do Ander Herrera an injustice, he's worth 25 million. If Idris Gueye is worth 30, then Ander Herrera is worth 25 million. Obviously, he was worth nothing because we let his contract run down. So on one hand, you're right, you've got Manchester United squeezing every pound they can out of a deal. And then on the other hand, you've got Ander Herrera being allowed to walk out the club when he's worth £25 million. So, yeah, the club's riddled with bad decisions. We know that. Money isn't everything. Look at Wolves, says Adrian Richards. Wolves spent loads of money. Do your research. I'm scared to watch Klopp courting Fernandes tonight, says Charlie Welch. United won't concede a single goal with Aaron Beast Wan-Bissaka at the back. I'm looking forward, says 14 million likes TV. I am looking forward to seeing United defensively next season, especially when Maguire comes in, because I've spent so long watching United over recent years, just knowing the mistakes that people like Ashley Young and Phil Jones and Chris Smalling have got in them. When you've got one of the world's best goalkeepers, I know you've got 2 good full-backs and 2 good centre-backs, there should be far less mistakes. Chloe Jenkins says, my concern is not getting Bruno over the line before Klopp gets a close-up look. Remember what happened with Ronaldo at Sporting? Yeah, very good. Chloe always comes in at this time with a decent comment. And I'm watching from Australia. I love your videos, by the way. It's 5:30 in the morning over here, says Bew Morrison. So a bit of a recap for you. Milinkovic-Savic to Manchester United is apparently very, very close. I don't have any information on this. This is just constant Italian reports, which is getting quite interesting as to why that is. I believe that if Milinkovic-Savic comes to Manchester United, that means Pogba's going, because I think he's a natural sort of replacement for Pogba, although not as good. There is also a story about Bruno Fernandes and Manchester United not being interested in him, which I think is a media leak from the club, if it's true, because we are in for him. And look, are we just trying to be cheap again and pretend that we're not in for him to save money? There's no glory in that. And Pepe was mentioned in the same article as well. As I've said before, I think in the past, when we were a decent football club and a good player that we were linked to went to another club, it was, you felt quite justified to go, we weren't in for him anyway because we were a decent club. But now, there's no glory in saying, we weren't in for him anyway, when it was a good player that actually would have improved us, because we should be in for them. Norwegian Collector says, will Flexing United stand be in Oslo, Mark? Such a good vlog today. You know what? If you've not seen the vlog today, it's the Manchester United versus Spurs preview over in China with Flex. The visuals, like Shanghai at night, it's just epic. They were in the press conference as well. The bit with McTominay and Solskjaer is better than MUTV's footage. They were on the sideline for the open training session. Brilliant stuff again. And they're in the hotel talking to Chong and Lingard. Absolutely brilliant. If you've not seen it and you love Manchester United, you've got to go and watch that video. It's on the homepage. It's the one with the blue thumbnail. It was the Manchester United versus Spurs preview. Brilliant. Absolutely superb. And you're spot on there. They are going to be in Norway. They fly back from Shanghai at the weekend, then they're on the way to Norway on Monday. I don't know whether it's in Oslo, though, is it? I don't know. Is it? Are they playing Kristiansund or something like that? I don't know where in Norway it is. Anu Palyapan says, wage budget of United is behind Barcelona only. Fact is that we can only make wage budget based on what revenue we have yearly. Barca are paying for quality players like Messi. We play for Jones and Smalling, who don't have a resale value. It's a good point. But yeah, Shanghai was amazing. You need to watch that video. Absolutely amazing. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. Remember, tomorrow we will be live for the watch along. I think it's a 12:30 kickoff UK time, so we'll be live about midday with the team news all the way through till full time. We have got fan cams over in Shanghai as well. Lots and lots going on, actually. But the watch along tomorrow, I'm very excited about that game, actually. On a positive, when the games come around, at least you can switch off from transfers for 90 minutes. And it's going to be a good test for United tomorrow against Spurs, because we're both Premier League clubs. We're both going to be going for top 4, and it's going to be a really good gauge to see where we are. But apparently Spurs are a bit behind us with fitness. I don't understand why that is, but apparently they are. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please do subscribe. Obviously, we will go live if there's any breaking news later on tonight. If not, it's Transfer Daily tomorrow at 7 a.m. I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks, everybody. It gets stressful at times, these transfer shows, doesn't it? But the reality is we're like mushrooms. We're kept in the dark. And Jared Solonsky says, will we spend more or less this window since we dropped on the Forbes list? United always want to spend less because it's more money in their pocket. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon. You're all superstars. Let's just try. It's therapy, isn't it, at the end of the day? It is therapy. Let's try and support each other. Speak to you all soon.